Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things here. I actually want to talk about the teaser trailer that was dropped yesterday. I guess technically it was yesterday or kind of today from The Walking Dead, though it was airing on AMC Plus and whatnot a couple of days ago. But yeah, I want to talk about one aspect to it, but I also want to talk about season 3 of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, because they're actually going to begin filming Monday apparently. And yeah, some of the sets look really cool, and I'm just excited. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I'll be doing my Q&A video next, so stay tuned for that. That should be out at some point later on today. We're about 37 or 38, I think it's 38 days away until the premiere of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, so it's getting very, very close. And what's actually starting on Monday is going to be the filming for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 3. They will start filming the season on Monday in Madrid, in Spain, and so I'm very curious about this, just because, you know, I feel like, again, I'm not going to be covering things in terms of, you know, they were filming this today or that, or, oh, this scene was really cool or whatever, right? Because I don't really normally cover anything like that. Like, I'll always talk about, oh, they started filming or they finished filming, or, you know, if someone talks about something that happened on set, but more if it's like official articles being written about it, right? Then I'll actually, like, I'll talk about it then. But not actual, like, you know, if there was a scene that was filmed and you could see somebody dying, I'm never going to do a video on that because that's too spoilery. I'm just going to wait until I watch the episode, right? So, but that's what I find very curious about season 3 here, is that it's going to be very spoilery, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of spoilers for the season if you are actually watching filming, because you're going to see certain actors on set, and if there's certain actors that aren't on set, then it's like, well, I guess they die in season 2, right? And that makes me really curious about characters like Isabel, Laurent, Madame Genet, Cadron, right? Like, I wonder if some of these characters are going to make it to season 3, because they're going to Spain, so obviously, I mean, they're going to have to follow them. Like, if they're going to be going with Daryl and Carol back to America, that seems to be their journey right now, is to try and get back to America. So I don't know why they go to Spain. Maybe it's because they know, or they learned that there's a, you know, a ship there that they can use to get back to America or something like that. So maybe that's why they go. But yeah, you know, I think that it's going to be really interesting, actually, you know, just in terms of the cast and whatnot. Like, if certain actors just don't show up, it's just going to be like, well, I guess that character could die in season 2, unless it's one of those things where some of the actors don't necessarily show up right away, but they're going to be in like episode 2 or 3, right? Like, it's kind of hard to say, but then again, like, by the time Daryl Dixon airs, they're probably going to be on episode 2, right? And as we're watching the show, they're going to be filming like episode 2, 3, 4, you know, getting into those later episodes of season 3 that, you know, if we don't see certain people around that point, we're going to be like, okay, I guess they're probably going to die here at some point this season. And so, yeah, I don't know why the filming is scheduled like this. It's a little, you know, it's interesting, but I guess it is what it is. What I'm interested in too is, you know, whether or not there's going to be a time jump of any sorts, because, you know, because The Ones Who Live ended in a way where if they did a season 2, or if it was just a new series, they could do a time jump of like 3 or 4 years or 5 years or whatever, right? Like, they can do whatever they want, because, I mean, it ended in a way where they're together now. And again, based off of the actors and, like, you know, what their age is going to be, like more specifically with Judith and RJ, you know, like, they're going to be much older by the time they do this new series. I imagine they will do a time jump of like a couple of years, right? 3, 4 to 5 years or something. And so we'll see Rick, you know, with RJ and Judith, and, you know, they'll have spent however many years together at this point, this and that, and we'll see what their life has been like, right? And so I think at that point, I mean, that's where Daryl Dixon could catch up more in the timeline, and also because Dead City is still a couple of years ahead in the timeline, right? So I'm really interested in season 3, because this is where, you know, this show could catch up a lot more just in general with the timeline, because it depends on why they're in Spain. Like, if they're just traveling to Spain, then I don't think the time jump is going to be that crazy, because we'll probably just see them literally, like, you know, the couple of weeks or maybe a month later, you know, on their journey to get to Spain. But if they get to Spain and they stay there for quite some time, then, you know, maybe they do a time jump of like a year or 2, right? I don't know. Yeah, season 3 starts filming on Monday, which is definitely a lot later than June. I know there was so many rumors like a couple of months ago that they were going to start filming in June, and I don't know the reason for them pushing that off. I don't know if it was because of, you know, maybe they couldn't film in certain spots or whatever, but that was the rumor a long time ago, was that they were supposed to start filming in June, and then it just kept getting pushed off to like later June, or it was like early July or later July, and then, okay, we don't know when they're going to be filming, but it's going to be at some point, and then eventually it was like August, and now I guess it's going to be on Monday, August, I believe that's August 26th. Yeah, August 26th. So yeah, really interesting. But I also wanted to talk about the teaser trailer that dropped yesterday, and I want to talk about more specifically one scene with Carol in that facility of sorts. I don't know if it's like a facility. I don't know if it's an old laboratory or whatever where Madame Genet and then we're doing like research on like these newer variants or how to turn these walkers into like these super walkers, right? But that area does seem to be related to Daryl, you know, like that scene with Daryl and the glow-in-the-dark walkers. Like, it seems to really be connected because, I mean, the lighting just matches. And that's the one thing when you're looking at trailers, like, if the lighting overall between the scenes match, then it's probably in the same scene, because there's no way there's going to be a scene like that in episode 2 with Daryl, and then, you know, a couple of episodes later, we have another scene with the same exact lighting with Carol there, right? So to me, it makes sense that it's all related, and Daryl and Carol are likely on some sort of mission, and they ran into like this, I don't know if it's an old laboratory or what it is, but there's glow-in-the-dark walkers there. And that's the whole thing too, is like, that's why I feel like there's going to be some sort of reveal here in terms of the story with the variant walkers, because obviously that is going to be something that they do focus on, right? Is the variant walkers. And I shouldn't even be calling them variant walkers anymore. Honestly, that they are just like super walkers. Like, they are variant walkers technically, but they are, you know, there's so many variant walkers on the show. They're actually technically the ones that are crazy fast and all of that. Like, those are super walkers, right? So yeah, maybe we learn a lot more about, you know, some of the research that was done to create these super walkers, and, you know, all the failed experiments, because that's the one thing that season 1 sort of, you know, showed us too, was that all of this really is like, it's experiments and all of that, right? But we never really got into the why or the how and all of that, right? Like, there's so much there, and we don't know why Madame Genet wants to use these super walkers. Like, obviously she's using them as a weapon, but like, we never really learned that in season 1. And so learning a lot more of her motivations, you know, as to why she wants to use these super walkers would be really good. And again, this lab doesn't look like a place that's been used recently, so it's an old lab if anything, but I'm guessing it gives us clues as to what they did. First of all, why are there glow-in-the-dark walkers? Like, what is that substance, right? Like, is it just, I don't know, it doesn't really seem natural, and maybe it is, like, maybe it's something that's just in a cave or something. Like, I don't know, to me, I never really heard of anything like that, so that's why I'm thinking that it was created in some way from a lab, and it's just sort of old, I don't know, like, just walker experiments and whatnot from like years ago. And I think it's going to be a part of the whole story here, and I think maybe there could be a connection with Spain. Maybe that's how you set up season 3, because the burners also seem to be connected to Madame Genet, because the burners we saw in that, I don't want to say old lab, because I don't know if that was an old laboratory, but it was in that scene in the World Beyond post-credit scene, right? Like, we actually saw some of the burner walkers there. I mean, and what was so interesting about that as well, when you're really looking at that scene that doesn't really make a lot of sense, is the fact that that woman in the scene, after she died, she turned to a really aggressive walker like immediately. And so I have a lot of questions about that, because like, I didn't see any serum injected into her to turn her into the super walker that we always see. Like in Daryl Dixon, you know, for those walkers to turn to super walkers, they have to be injected with that serum or whatever, right? And so I'm questioning that. I'm like, well, we didn't see that happen in the post-credit scene, so we still never really technically saw, you know, what happened there, because it's the same type of walker. Madame Genet's walkers get, you know, injected with like a serum or whatever that turns them into like super walkers. So a bit of a difference there. I don't know if they changed that afterwards, or if we're still going to be, you know, slowly getting into that here in season 2, but there is a lot more of a story here, and that's why I'm just really interested in this scene here, because I wonder if it's connected, right? I'm just really excited about the Spain storyline. I really am so excited about the Spain storyline. I think that, you know, because when I really view it like it's going to be the start of a new arc, it's really cool. It's so exciting, because it's going to be the same as going from like the farm arc to the prison arc, or like from the savior arc to like the Whisperers, right? And I'm assuming that Madame Genet's arc is going to end this season. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it goes into season 3 a little bit, or season 4. I don't think so, though. I do think they want to structure a lot of this show, and especially with Dead City as well. I think they want to structure these shows a lot like, you know, I guess like the main show, The Walking Dead, where, you know, you have these arcs or whatever. And so for Daryl Dixon, this is going to be an arc that takes place over, I guess, like 2 seasons, right? With Madame Genet, maybe it goes into season 3 a little bit. You're going to have characters from season 2, obviously, in season 3, but that was also the case with The Walking Dead, right? Like, you just have different story, brand new story, and you sort of set up a lot of new stuff. And it's exciting, because that was always the most fun you know, part of The Walking Dead was getting into a new arc. Like, as soon as you got to the point where you were wrapping up an arc and the arc was getting really exciting because you were getting to like a major death scene or this and that, and then just sort of how they set up the next arc and that intrigue there of like, whoa, this group seems really cool kind of thing. Like, I'm excited about that, and I'm actually curious about that for Dead City as well. Like, Dead City, I feel like they're just getting started with the Dama and like Bruegel and that whole arc. I doubt it's going to be ending in season 2, so I could see that going into season 3 a bit, and then maybe it ends at some point and then they start something else going into season 4. Like, I can definitely see that. But yeah, definitely post all your thoughts down below on all of this. Post your thoughts on, you know, I guess filming for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 3, and yeah, everything else I talked about in this video. So hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.